Welcome to Discovery! Roll the intro, please. Welcome back to another episode of Discovery. This one is packed. We're discovering new albums from February, and I'll also be sharing my favorite albums of February 2025. Today's episode is a mixed bag from metalcore to the deepest, darkest of black metal. We're covering everything from the mainstream to the underground, a true celebration of all metal genres. Some of you might be surprised by how diverse this episode is. It's a big one, so sit back or grab some popcorn because we've got a lot to cover. I have no idea how long this will be. Let me tell you, we're in for a ride. Let me know what you discovered in the comments below, and let's begin. To kick off Discovery, let's start with the genre most of my fans hate. Metalcore. Just kidding. We're talking about the UK band Architects and the new album The Sky, the Earth and All Between, released on February 28th through Epitaph Records. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know I like Architects. I gave For Those That Wish to Exist a pretty high score because I thought it was a fun record. A lot of people weren't big fans of that album, but I loved how they experimented with their sound. Now, 4 years later, we get The Sky, the Earth and All Between, and it's a pretty solid release. Architects really lean into their heavier side on this album, especially on tracks like Whiplash, Curse, Seeing Red, and Brain Dead. Sam Carter's vocals are absolutely ruthless on this. I think that's his name, Sam Carter. And the chugging riffs hit hard, blending with electronic elements that create an unsettling, almost dystopian atmosphere. The breakdowns are intense, and while some might argue that Architects are leaning into like generic metalcore tropes, they still manage to keep things engaging. There's a lot of fun dun 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 moments with the guitars and some really good solos that stand out. The album balances its heaviness with softer moments as heard on Broken Mirror and Chandelier. The latter, which has a killer ending but is mostly on the softer side. Despite its dynamic range, the record feels tight and cohesive, filled with anthemic and melodic fucking earworms. Black Hole delivers some powerful vocals and crushing breakdowns and making it a standout track. They got Brain Dead. Takes like a punk-infused metalcore approach featuring House of Protection, a band I saw live a few months ago who absolutely crushed it live. Holy shit, the drumming on that, the drummer is incredible. Their presence on the track really enhances the drumming, which is brilliant. Those punky edge riffs add an extra layer of energy. Everything Ends is an interesting track with dance beats woven into its heavy framework, creating a nice mix of melody and aggression. Allergy initially made me think I was listening to like something out of Northlane. It has that same atmospheric techie vibe, especially in the intro, which sounds a lot like Clockwork. Evil Eyes is another highlight, featuring an ethereal chorus with doom-laden chord progressions. Yes, I said right, doom-laden chord progressions that bring a haunting quality to the track. The songwriting here is really strong, blending atmosphere with crushing heaviness. Landmines delivers another powerful and melodic chorus with an incredible guitar tone and laid atmospheric beats that add depth to the song. And Judgment Day leans into a dancier, more industrial metal sound, featuring a Rammstein-esque riff that makes you wanna both headbang and dance. The song also features Amira Alfke, whose vocals add a nice dynamic, though I'm not too familiar with her background and where she's from. Broken Mirror brings a lot of emotion, building up tension throughout, before delivering a really powerful heavy moment that perfectly showcases how to structure a song for maximum fucking impact. For me, Curse is probably the best track on the album. The song flows incredibly well, the breakdowns are massive, and the chorus is easily the most memorable on the entire record. The chord progression feels fresh and keeps the energy up throughout. Seeing Red is another strong track despite the somewhat cheesy fucking choir in the background, but it's catchy and fun enough that I can forgive it. Chandelier, while a decent song, feels a bit lackluster compared to the rest of the album. That being said, the build-up at the end is thunderous. Transitioning from moody, melancholic passages into crushing breakdowns and deathcore growls that hit hard. It's definitely one of the more emotional tracks on the album, with that perfect blend of fucking sad boy vibes and metallic aggression. Overall, the sky, the earth, and all between is a solid entry in Architect's discography, and it's probably my favorite metalcore album of the year so far. I can already tell that these songs will hit differently when performed live, much like Killswitch Engage's album, This Consequence. However, while this album delivers some of the heaviest moments in Architect's recent history, it doesn't quite reach the heights of the golden era in my opinion. The record is strong, but suffers from a formulaic approach at times, making some tracks feel a bit repetitive. Still, it's a great listen for metalcore, it really is. And it's a great listen for metalcore fans. And I'd rate it a 75%. A solid effort, but there's definitely room for more innovation. So if you enjoy that stuff, go check it out. Next up, Discovery is an album that completely caught me off guard. As a result, has landed on my best albums of the month list. We've got a double whammy here because Gold, the debut album by Scour, the extreme metal supergroup featuring Phil Anselmo from Pantera and Down and members of Pig Destroyer, they released an album on February 21st through Nuclear Blast. Take a listen. I have to admit I was a little hesitant to check this album out at first, mainly because of the album cover. It's not fucking great, but when I actually listened to the music, I was blown away. And when I found out who the lead vocalist was, I literally spat my drink out. Phil Anselmo from Pantera, doing black metal and death metal vocals. What the fuck? I had no idea he could pull off these kind of shrieks and growls, but damn, he absolutely kills it here. His performance is intense, raw, and totally unexpected, proving once again that the guy can do just about anything in extreme fucking metal. Musically, Gold is crushing hybrid of black metal and even death metal, but with dark, sinister melodies that give nods to like bands like Darkthrone, Marduk, Emperor, and even Mayhem. You can hear all of these influences throughout the album, but it's incredible how fucking well they blend together. Invoke sounds like something straight out of like Nel Nafrak's playbook, blistering, chaotic, and relentless. And then you got Infosorium is a major highlight where Phil truly flexes his vocal range, shifting seamlessly from those high-pitched black metal shrieks to deep guttural growls. The members of Scour include musicians from Pig Destroyer, a band I've always heard about but never really checked out. If Pig Destroyer sounds anything like this, I definitely need to dive into their discography. The production is razor sharp with an absolutely relentless drum performance that keeps the fucking intensity maxed out from start to finish. The guitars are tight, they really are, and aggressive, with tremolo picked riffs that cut like fucking knives. One thing to note is that the songs on Gold are very short, and while that adds to the record's ferocity, I would have liked a few tracks, to stretch out just a tad, a little bit more. Some experimentation with atmosphere and slower, more brooding sections would elevate Scour to an even higher level in my opinion. Then you got the title track Gold, features an absolutely bouncy fucking riff that immediately grabs you. Evil and Devil are both fantastic tracks, and I swear one of them has a guitar melody. That sounds like something Horner would do. There are moments on this album where the death metal influences shine through more prominently, adding an extra layer of fucking brutality, but at its core, this is an in-your-face, no holds barred black metal with some killer twists along the way. But the album is undeniably chaotic. There are moments where soaring guitar solos break through the madness, adding just enough variety to keep things from feeling one-dimensional. That being said, the real star of the show is Phil's vocals, which are absolutely fucking monstrous throughout. He sounds like he's fucking possessed or something. I never thought I'd hear him in this kind of setting, but it proves he can hang with the best in the genre. Wow. I'm scoring gold an 85%. It's a ferocious, well-written black metal record packed with intensity and some truly impressive moments. If they expand their songwriting on the next album, incorporating more atmosphere and experimenting with pacing, Scour could become a serious force in modern black metal, and I'm not joking. As it stands, Gold is one hell of a debut and easily one of my favorite albums of the month. This one really surprised me. Now we move on to US band Astral Moon, who just released a sophomore album, Deus Ex Machina, independently on February 25th. What can I say about this one? If you love doom-laden riffs and a Black Sabbath edge, but with a cosmic, psychedelic, spacey twist, you're in for a treat. There's something about this album that keeps pulling me back in. I'll be honest, when I first heard the vocals, I wasn't too fucking impressed. They felt rough and didn't quite hook me right away, but as the album progressed, I noticed an improvement and they started to grow on me. What really makes this album shine though is the guitar work. The fucking riffs are killer vanilla. Thick, groovy, and dripping with that stoner doom goodness. Tracks like Vertigo, fucking Vertigo, Sweet Evil, and Rites of Chernobog ooze that fuzzy, hypnotic stoner doom metal energy, and you all know I love fucking stoner doom. This album is riff heaven, and the more I listen, the more I appreciate the sheer power of the guitar work. Each song feels warranted on this album. There aren't any fillers nor killers, mainly killers, which is a huge plus. The songwriting is simple but effective, captivating in its own way without overcomplicating things. That's one of the biggest strengths of Deus Ex Machina. It doesn't try to be overly technical or progressive. It just leans into the power of the riff and lets the atmosphere do the fucking work. Now let's talk about the vocals, which are probably, I do apologize, but which are probably the biggest drawback of the album. While the growls can be decent at times, the clean vocals leave a lot to be desired. There's a rawness to them that doesn't always work in the album's favor, and at times they feel a bit off-putting rather than immersive. The good news is that Astral Moon is apparently a one-man band with Aiden and Amy handling everything: guitars, bass, drums, vocals, and production. That alone is seriously impressive, especially considering how tight and well laid the instrumentals are. His drumming is solid, the guitar grooves are infectious, and his ability to create such a cohesive, immersive doom metal experience is undeniable. If his vocals were stronger and more refined, this album could have been rated much higher. Overall, Deus Ex Machina is a really good doom metal record with incredible riffs and strong songwriting instrumentally, but it's held back by its vocal performance. Despite that, the atmosphere and grooves make it an addicting listen, and I found myself coming back to it more than I expected. If Aiden Amy were to refine his vocals or even bring in a dedicated vocalist for future releases, Astral Moon could easily become a standout band in the stoner doom scene, in my opinion. As it stands, I'd rate this as 65%. A solid, entertaining album that just needs a little more polish in the vocal department to reach its full potential. So if you're into that, go check it out.
Nothing will last. Blood flows down from the Grey Mountain. A grand monument this Bible said.
Now let's dive into one of the best metal albums of February, Morast and their album Fentanyl. This one blew my mind. It's a terrific slab of death metal, absolutely chaotic and relentless, hitting you straight in the fucking face with its sheer intensity. The guitar tone on this record is absolutely crushing, thick and suffocating, delivering riffs that cut through like a buzzsaw. The vocals are monstrous, a blend of deep guttural growls and tortured screams that perfectly complement the album's dark and oppressive atmosphere. Everything about this record feels ruthless. From the punishing blast beats to the suffocating layers of distorted guitars, the production strikes a balance between like raw aggression and clarity, allowing every single note of the brutality to shine through without feeling overly polished. Morast leans into dark and atmospheric elements, weaving in unsettling, eerie melodies that give the album a sense of desperation and decay. There's a sense of controlled chaos in the songwriting. While it's brutally heavy, it's not just an all-out assault. The band creates moments of tension, with slower brooding passages that explode into ferocious, unrelenting fury. It's like being dragged into a nightmarish abyss, unable to escape the overpowering weight of the music. I was really impressed with Fentanyl that I had to get a physical copy. It took me over an hour of searching to find the bloody thing, but when I finally snatched it, I knew it was worth it. I can't wait until it arrives, to be honest, because this is one of those albums that demands to be played loud. The kind that shakes the fucking foundations of the walls and makes you feel like you're in the middle of a fucking sonic war zone. If you love death metal that's dark, atmospheric, and completely ruthless, Fentanyl by Morast is a must listen. Morast has crafted an album that is as oppressive as it is exhilarating, filled with suffocating intensity and unrelenting brutality. Definitely check it out if you haven't already. This one is going to be on repeat for a very long time. Let's keep the ball rolling now. Let's turn our attention to Frenelef and the album Ashen Womb, which also makes the best metal albums of February lists, also featured on Discovery. This album is absolutely caked in a suffocating claustrophobic atmosphere, the kind that feels like it's crushing the air out of your fucking lungs from the very first note. The guitar tone on this album is dense and cavernous, dripping with doom-laden despair, while the riffs hit like a sledgehammer. The vocals are monstrous, a deep and menacing growl that lurks beneath the suffocating mix, making everything feel even more oppressive. Similar to Morast's Fentanyl, this album is crushingly heavy, but Ashen Womb leans even further into even doom territory with massive crawling riffs that feel like you're wading through a sea of tar. There's a strong immolation vibe to the melodies here, while the song structures remind me of classic Autopsy. Raw, unpredictable, and drenched in death, the band doesn't just rely on blunt force brutality, though there are eerie, unsettling moments where the atmosphere takes over, drawing you deeper into its abyss. I'm not going too far in depth on this one because I've already featured Frenelef on Discovery, but I'll say this, it's an absolute monster of a record, easily one of my favorite death metal albums of the year so far. If you haven't checked it out, you're seriously missing out. So let's check it out. So let's keep the ball rolling again. We got Dream Theater and the new album Parasomnia. Yeah, this is a fantastic album from start to finish. Honestly, can't fault it. It completely captivates you with a horror-filled melodies and intricate progressive metal craftsmanship, making an absolute stand-out release for 2025. James LaBrie's vocals are terrific, delivering powerful yet emotive performances that elevate the album's atmosphere. Of course, John Petrucci's guitar work is phenomenal as always, treating us to some jaw-dropping solos and masterfully created riffs, but the real magic, Mike Portnoy's return on drums. His presence completes the puzzle that was missing on previous albums, and his signature drumming style brings a renewed energy to the band. The songwriting feels tighter and more cohesive, with heavier moments than we've seen from Dream Theater in recent years. It reminds me of their darker, more intense works, and I go as far as to say Parasomnia is their best album since Black Clouds and Silver Linings. The band sounds more inspired than ever, and the progressive elements shine without feeling overly indulgent. This album easily earns a spot on my best metal albums of February, and honestly, it's shaping up to be one of my favorite albums of the year. If you haven't checked it out yet, do yourself a favor. This is Dream Theater at their absolute best. We welcome back Grima on Discovery. The Russian atmospheric black metal band has returned with their new album Nightshade, released on February 28th through Napalm Records. Take a listen. I've always loved Grima and their immersive nature-inspired sound. This band never disappoints. I'll admit I was a bit concerned when they signed with Napalm Records, fearing their sound might change, but to my relief, Nightshade still sounds exactly like the tree people we know and love. This is fantastic atmospheric fucking black metal, and while Grima has experimented with their sound, the essence remains intact. The first major difference you'll notice is the production. This album is clean and silky like a freshly scrubbed toilet bowl, and I mean that in the best way possible. The improved clarity enhances the band's layered atmosphere, making the intricate details stand out. The use of orchestral elements, synths, and keyboards expands the album's sonic landscape, creating an ethereal yet crushing experience. There are some seriously heavy moments, but Grima also takes you on a journey through a dark, forbidden forest, guiding you with their captivating songwriting and riffs. Then you got Curse of the Void, features a soaring guitar solo that elevates the whole song. Flight of the Silver Storm has a fantastic haunting melody that will stick in your head for hours. This album leans more melancholic than purely atmospheric in my opinion, with a sense of sorrow woven into the compositions. Vocally, Nightshade embraces blackened shrieks and deep death metal growls, and it works beautifully. Then you got Mist and Fog. It's a perfect representation of melancholic black metal with doom-laden riffs and even a post-metal vibe, especially when the guitars transition into a flute-driven section over relentless blast beats. A fucking mesmerizing contrast. On the heavier side, I think you got Skullgatherers and Impending Death Premonition deliver crushing intensity, while Beyond the Dark Horizon is a relentless, furious black metal opener that sets the tone for the record. The self-titled track is another highlight, showcasing brilliant tremolo riffs, fast and heavy sections, and a balance of aggression and atmosphere. Overall, I think Grima did a phenomenal job on this album, which is why Nightshade has secured a place on my favourite metal albums of February list. Blasphemy! Killing two birds with one stone here. In fact, I blasted this album for 2 hours straight while driving to Knotfest on Friday, completely fucking immersed in its atmosphere. Is it as good as Will of the Primordial, or Rotten Garden, or Frostbitten? Well, only time will tell. One thing's for sure, it's not quite on the level of World the Primordial, but it's still an excellent release. My final score, 80%. A solid atmospheric black metal album filled with infectious melodies, melancholic depth, and immersive storytelling. Definitely worth multiple listens. I need to buy this one because it just gets better and better with each fucking spin. And my favourite album of February 2025 is none other than Scour's new masterpiece, Amidst the Ruin. This is a stunning, folky, atmospheric black metal album, and I absolutely love it from start to finish. The complex melodies and intricate songwriting weave a rich, immersive experience, while the addition of bagpipes, flutes, and traditional folk elements add a truly epic and majestic quality to the music. The balance between blackened intensity and folk-driven atmosphere is flawless, making every track feel central and deeply evocative. The vocals are incredible, ranging from haunting angelic cleans to ferocious blackened shrieks, all of which enhance the album's emotional weight. The atmosphere on this record is so fucking powerful, it's impossible not to get lost in its sweeping soundscapes. Scour has always been one of the standout names in atmospheric black metal, and Amidst the Ruins cements their place at the top. It may not be traditional black metal, but who cares? The Scottish know how to craft some of the most breathtaking black metal out there, and this album is no exception. I found myself replaying it over and over again and completely enchanted by its beauty. Without a doubt, this is a brilliant piece of black metal, and it easily earns its place as one of my favourite albums of the year. If you haven't given this a spin yet, what the fuck are you doing? Don't wait, this is Scour at their absolute finest. Next up, we head over to Poland and dive into the horrifying abyss that is Black Witchcraft and their latest album, Stare into the Blackest Depths of Hell, released on February 15th through Under the Sign of Garazal Productions. Take a listen. So, this is a brilliant album from start to finish, and it absolutely deserves a place on my best of the month list. There are a lot of albums making the cut this episode, there really are, which just goes to show how incredibly strong February has been for metal. This is raw black metal at its most unfiltered, and I have to give a shout out to one of my subscribers. I can't remember who exactly, I do say sorry, who told me to check this out. I'm so glad I did, because this is some seriously haunting, evil fucking black metal with horror-filled melodies that will send chills down your spine. The production is, what would you say, lo-fi and raw, adding another layer of menace to the atmosphere. The vocals are absolutely savage, and the tremolo pick guitar lines create a whirlwind of nightmarish intensity. This album doesn't let up, but it also knows when to slow down, making the slower, more brooding sections are more unsettling. Then you got Devilish Force is a pure assault on the senses, driven by manic evil chord progressions, deranged vocal performances. The drumming is furious, but when the album slows down, it somehow becomes even more terrifying. The rawness of the production only amplifies the horror, making every track feel like you're being dragged deeper into the abyss. The vocals are shrieky and deranged, at times remind me of Nicholas Cavafel from Shining or Rain de Landferman from Bethlehem. There's a certain madness to them that makes the album even more unsettling. The spiraling, hypnotic guitar leads feel like you're being hunted through the depths of hell. And songs like Gospel of the Gallows showcase relentless drumming and razor-sharp tremolo picking. Meanwhile, I Am the Poison in God's Vein is an unrelenting black metal onslaught, throwing everything at you in the most chaotic, aggressive way possible. At times, Black Witchcraft reminds me of The Kills, another band that excels in the horror-infused black metal, but they also throw in some bouncy, almost thrashy riffs, giving the album an unexpected catchiness. It's really difficult to compare this album to anything else because while Black Witchcraft follows many raw black metal tropes, they still manage to sound entirely unique. This is a hard-hitting, relentless album with every song warranted and carefully crafted to drag you into the darkest corners of fucking hell. I'm giving this an 85%, a solid black metal album from start to finish with huge replay value. Give this one a listen, you won't be disappointed. The main event for this week's Scour. This one also happens to be one of my favourite metal albums of February. So, we're killing two birds with one stone once again. Finnish black metal band Havukruunu has returned with their highly anticipated fourth studio album, Tavastland, released on February 28th through Svart Records. Take a listen. Havukruunu never disappoints, and once again, they've delivered a banger. Sausages and all the condiments. This album is juicy from start to finish, packed with fantastic riffs, harsh and menacing vocals, brilliant melodies that soar through the troposphere. Their signature blend of black metal and heavy metal shines through with soaring solos, triumphant melodies, and undeniable sense of grandeur. There's something so majestic about the sound, and on Tavastland, it's clear that Havukruunu continue to evolve while staying true to the roots. Yes, there are some cleaner vocals on this album, but make no mistake, this thing is still as heavy as their previous releases. The riffs and songwriting on this album often remind me of something straight out of Iron Maiden. With intricate guitar harmonies and powerful galloping rhythms. As expected, every song is nearly impossible to pronounce, keeping up with the authentic Finnish tradition, but pronunciation struggles aside, every track earns its place on this album. It's a fast-paced ride with some well-placed mid-tempo sections, making a fun and dynamic black metal experience from start to finish. The self-titled track Tavastland stands out as one of the most epic moments on the album. It has a strong Rhapsody-like vibe. Yeah, I said Rhapsody-like vibe, with grand sweeping choirs that add a cinematic, larger-than-life atmosphere. The choirs elevate the track, making it feel like an anthem for a forgotten age, blending epic heavy metal theatrics with blackened intensity. The chants throughout the album are well executed. They don't overstay their welcome, but they add to the album's immersive atmosphere. I love the chaotic moments in each song, contrasting with the softer, more melodic sections that create a sense of balance. The whole album flows like a stream, each song seamlessly leading into the next. Havukruunu has crafted an album that feels so complete, with a strong narrative and expert pacing. It took them 4 years to make this. One thing that stands out across Tavastland is the guitar work. Every song features like a mouth-watering solo, blending black metal and traditional heavy metal influences. This album fully embraces the pagan black metal foundation of the sound while pushing their songwriting even further. The choruses are melodic, the verses hit hard, and those bouncy, energetic riffs that get your head bobbing in no time. If you're someone who's not into black metal but wants to give it a try, this album is a perfect gateway. It's accessible, but still maintains that core element of black metal. I just love how much emotion bleeds from the guitars on this record. Got Havukruunu, Ya Talvanayo is a brilliant track filled with soaring melodies and endless riffs. And then there's that 10-minute closing track, which is an absolute perfect way to end the album. It builds tension, explodes into triumphant chaos, and leaves you wanting more. I wouldn't say this is my favorite Havukruunu album, but it's certainly up there because of how replayable it is. This is the kind of album you'll want to spin over and over again, discovering new details with each listen. With that being said, I'm scoring Tavastland a solid 80%. It's definitely not my absolute favorite album in February, but it's one of the best, and that's why it has earned its place on my list. So guys, that's it for Discovery. Hope you guys enjoy it. Massive episode this week. Next week, well, we'll probably have another massive episode, but the discoveries keep on rolling. So let me know in the comments below your favorite discoveries, and let me know your favorite albums as well. It's been fun, and I will see you in the next one.